Welcome back to London Calling, the monthly cheat sheet for every Broadway buff about what's happening on the other side of the pond. Later, we'll talk to My Fair Lady's resident legend Rosemary Harris, but first, let's take a quick look at which shows the Brits are getting into one of their infamous queues for. The hottest ticket in London town comes from the Almeida Theatre, which brought mine and a certain Broadway.com editor-in-chief's possibly joint favourite show ever into being, American Psycho. This time they've turned their attention to the Twilight Zone. The stage version of Rod Serling's 1960s sci-fi TV series has been adapted by Anne Washburn and will transfer to the West End in March. There's already Broadway buzz, so watch this space. Meanwhile, director du jour, Ivo van Hove, his network has been packing them in here in the Big Apple, is set to open All About Eve at London's Noel Coward Theatre in February. Starring Gillian Anderson and Lily James, it's based on the Oscar-winning 1950 film of the same name. We're wishing all the best to Broadway faves Come From Away and Waitress, which are both opening in Britain's capital city over the next few weeks. And it would be remiss of us not to note that the UK transfer of Hamilton helped the West End achieve its highest grossing year ever. The best relationships work both ways. That's what makes a theatrical one particularly special. Thumbs up to the HADESTOWN team for the new musical's acclaimed run at the National Theatre. Celebrated singer-songwriter Anais Mitchell and director Rachel Chavkin have transformed Mitchell's acclaimed concept album into a genre-defying show that mixes modern American folk music with vintage New Orleans jazz to reimagine a sweeping ancient tale. The tuner is scheduled to transfer with the principal cast: Reeve Carney, Andre de Shields, Amber Gray, Eva Nobazada and Patrick Page to the Main Stem's Walter Kerr Theatre in March. Helma Chavkin is in demand. Before that, she has Arthur Miller's The American Clock to open at London's prestigious Old Vic Theatre. Despite playing host to HADESTOWN, we're going to have to thumbs down the National Theatre. Their web team accidentally leaked that Meghan Markle's first royal patronage would be for the institution. Breach of protocol regarding Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex here. That's the sort of thing that should come from Kensington Palace, don't you know? Markle's involvement does make sense. She was, of course, an actress, and as well as being a notorious Hamill fan, has taken Harry on theatre dates to shows including The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. If you have ever been to the theatre in the UK, you might have been puzzled by the Brits' propensity to eat ice cream during the interval/intermission. The treat is quiet, so on that level makes sense, and the tradition probably started with Italian opera companies bringing it over to Victorian England. Ice cream was definitely available in theatres by 1924 when it was mentioned in Parliament. Slightly cheerier topic than the one dominating it at the moment. This month, I was fortunate enough to sit down with Tony and Emmy winner Rosemary Harris. An Oscar nominee, she made her Broadway debut in 1952 and is currently playing Mrs. Higgins in Lincoln Center Theatre's My Fair Lady. An interview I'll remember forever, not least because I was massively underdressed. I have never felt more underdressed for an interview in my entire life.
Well, I suppose I am a little, but this, I have to point out, belongs to Mrs. Higgins. It's not mine. It's not the way I usually walk around at home. I love green, and I think it goes so well with your purple.
We complement each other very well. Now, I've been doing some maths, Miss Harris. You made your Broadway debut 67 years ago. I think you've been in 27 Broadway productions. Is that about
something
right?
like that? Yes.
What makes you keep coming back to Broadway? What is it about New York?
Well, this was very special. My husband and I, of 51 years, lived in North Carolina, and I worked, you know, when I could, from time to time, and we'd go to England together. And John wasn't awfully well, so I wasn't travelling. And then I lost him in March, my beloved John, Jennifer's dad. And I was just sort of trying to adjust to things at home. And I got an email from Andre Bishop, who runs Lincoln Center, and Dame Diana was leaving, and he said, would you like to take her place? And I thought about it, and Jennifer said, well, you better go up and see the show first. So I did, and I of course fell in love with it, because I think it's a remarkable, lovely show. And at first I said, no, there's no way, because it would be like getting onto a moving train, express train.
It's hard to go into a show in the middle of a run.
I've never done that before. I've always been on at the beginning, and I thought I wasn't capable of it. but they've been also kind and helpful and encouraging, and so I thought, well, come on, don't be a cowardy custard. And so I decided I would, and I loved every minute of it.
Now, your daughter Jennifer was here recently at Lincoln Centre Theatre doing Oslo. Did you see her do Oslo?
Yes, I did.
So,
and then she was here with Coast of Utopia.
So you knew sort of backstage fairly well because of her?
But I'd also done 2 plays here in the 70s. I did Streetcar and The Merchant of Venice on that stage. So it's beginning to feel a little bit like home.
So talk to me about sort of taking on Mrs. Higgins, an iconic role. Are you enjoying yourself with it? Or is it just 8 shows a week? Is just...
No. I really look forward to coming to the theatre every performance. Of course, this is my 3rd attempt at Mrs. Higgins. My first attempt was in 1948, I think.
You're very young, Mrs. Higgins.
I was a very young Mrs. Higgins. I was in a small theatre company, twice nightly, weekly rep.
Okay.
Which you would know about. And Jessie Matthews was a great musical comedy star of the 30s.
Right.
And she was now in her 40s, and she was going around the country giving her Eliza Doolittle. And she came to our company, and everybody got their parts, and Mrs. Higgins was left over. So they stuck a grey wig on me, and I gave my Mrs. Higgins.
So that was attempt number 1, and what was attempt number 2?
Well, it was not so long ago. I was in LA working on Spider-Man, and I had, by chance, seemed to have a week off or something, and they were doing My Fair Lady at the Hollywood Bowl with John Lithgow and Melissa Errico. So they asked me if I wanted to do Mrs. Higgins, have another shot at it.
So you knew your lines already?
So, I think I did, yes, but of course I'd forgotten them. And then this is my 3rd attempt, so I'm hoping this time I'm getting it a little bit more right, I think.
And how has it been working with this amazing cast, with Laura?
Oh, it's lovely, it's lovely. And one of the joys was that I knew that Alan Corduna was in the cast. And Alan and I had been in Arsenic and Old Lace together in Chichester. So I was thrilled that there was somebody in the company that I knew. But since then I've got to know everybody, and I love them all dearly. I love Harry, and I love Laura, and everyone. They're so kind and sweet and helpful, and lead me around if I don't know where I'm going and things like that.
My Fair Lady first started on Broadway in 1956. You were on Broadway at the time in Troilus and Cressida. Did you see it then? Or
I did.
Not? You did? You saw the
did.
original production?
Yes, I did. And of course I have to say that in England, when we heard that the Americans had the temerity and audacity to make a musical of Pygmalion, oh, we said it's going to be a disaster. And of course we had to eat humble pie.
And we're eating humble pie many decades later. So sort of final question. What do you think it is about My Fair Lady that makes audiences connect with it now in 2019 just as much as they were in 1956?
Oh, the music, I think you start with. And then, of course, Shaw's, the scenes in between the music are so interesting and deep and interesting. And then, of course, they have changed the ending, you know, a little bit.
They have here. Spoiler alert, everybody.
I think the Shaw found, you know, the copyright, they couldn't change any words, but they have changed the action a little bit. And I don't want to give the game away, but they have brought it. I think it was Shakespeare who said, give to each play the age and body of its time. And so they have kind of changed it, given it a little twist, which makes it very relevant now.
Ms. Harris, it's been an absolute honour. Thank you
Oh, it's
so
my pleasure.
very much.
I love meeting you, and of course I'm a great, enormous fan of your father, so it goes without saying.
Thank you for watching London Calling. See you next time. Cheerio.